Hey y'all, thank you so much for tuning in. So today we're going to do something a little different. We are going to do super easy southern potatoes and sausage. So first thing you want to do is make sure that you have a pretty big, good sized glass Pyrex pan. I do have the 9x13, but that is mostly because I do have a big family. And you can use smaller, you don't necessarily have to use the big one, but leftovers are always good. So, in this recipe, it's pretty basic. It's just butter. Some people do put onion, but my husband's allergic to onion, so we don't use onion. Today, I'm just using kielbasa, Polish kielbasa, fully cooked. And it really doesn't matter what brand you use. This one is just from Kroger, so you can just use any brand. You do want to have butter or margarine and cavenders. So we use this on legit everything that we cook. If we have burgers, taco meat, cavenders goes on it. So I keep a stock of this. And of course, potatoes. First, what you want to do is you do want to make sure that you spray your pan. Even though you are using quite a lot of butter, the butter doesn't get everywhere and the potatoes can stick if you don't spray the pan. Spray it real quick. So, I've already washed these potatoes, so they already are drying. First, what you want to do is you do want to take your knife and you want to slice it just like this. Nothing fancy. I'm not dicing it. I'm just leaving the shape of the potato and just slicing small spots on it, kind of like you would for like scalloped potatoes. And for my family, with us being a family of 6, I usually do anywhere from 4 to 8 potatoes, depending on the size. And that leaves enough for all of us to have a pretty decent portion, as well as my husband has some to take to work for the next day and myself. So, like I said, if you do have a smaller family, you don't necessarily have to use a big pan with this many potatoes. Just kind of size it up, depending on the size of the potatoes. And then you just go ahead and toss them into your pan. Like I said, I'm doing quite a few today. That way we have leftovers for lunches and stuff like that. And as you can see, most of my potatoes, I'm not really cutting them super thick at all. But not super thin, so it's kind of like a happy medium. Now, one thing I do want you to keep in mind, especially with this dish, is it is super heavy. So it really doesn't take that much to fill you up. Like, I mean, a small bowl full, and I'm completely stuffed just because potatoes are so heavy. We don't usually eat this during the summer because it is so heavy, and I really don't like heavy meals during the summer. It usually is more of a winter meal for us, but it's super easy just to throw together, and we've got practices tonight and clubs, so if I can just whip this up together real quick and toss it in the oven, then that's what I'm going to do. Something else I do want to let y'all know. So I'm cooking this one in the oven today. However, you can put this in the slow cooker as well. So, if you have a crock pot or whatever, you can make this dish up the night before and then just put it in that morning and cook it on low for 8 hours, and it'll be ready to go when you get home. And that's one thing I do like about it. So, if we're going to be at games all night, ball games, what have it, we have dinner when we come home. It's already ready. I've just popped it in the crock pot and gone about my business. Or on days like today where we'll be home kind of early. I say earlier, I mean like 7 or 8. So then I don't really have to worry about it not being done. I'll go ahead and cook it now during the morning, and then before we get home, I will just heat it up. Also, when you're putting this in the pan, make sure that you're taking the potatoes and pulling them apart and that way they're just not sticking all together right after you cut them, because then they won't cook properly. So a lot of people probably do know this meal. Growing up, for me, it was called poor man's meal. And when I first told my husband we were having poor man's meal, he looked at me like I had 5 heads. He was like, "What are you talking about?" And I explained it to him. I was like, it's just potatoes and sausage with some butter, onion, and all that. And he laughed. For him growing up, it was called simple supper. So for each family, I'm sure it could be called something different. So you probably have heard of this before. So we have all of the potatoes here in the pot. Like I said, a little bit does go a long way with this meal. It's just really super easy to whip together. Pop this bad boy out. So with this kielbasa, there's no specific way on how you're supposed to cut it. I do like to go ahead and cut it in half, like this, and then I also like to cut this all the way down the middle, just because it does make the pieces a little bit smaller, and for little fingers and little mouths, it does make it easier to eat with little kids. But if you like bigger chunks of meat, just keep it all together and just slice it regular. And then you're just going to go ahead and slice all this up and then just toss it in with the potatoes. So because I did slice the pieces of meat up smaller, it does look super meaty. You can go ahead and have a look. What I like to do before I add in any of the butter or seasoning, I like to go ahead and just mix it up. That way when you're serving it, you're just not getting like a big old hunk of meat and no potato, or a big old thing of potato and no meat. So it just kind of like evenly distributes it. So for this meal, I don't think I've ever used a measurement for it at all. You just take a couple heaps of butter and plop it in there, and then as far as seasoning, I never measure seasoning. I just dump whatever I feel like will make it good. So like I said before, it doesn't really matter. I actually found that Blue Bonnet does taste the best with this meal, but today I'm just using good old country crock. It's just what we have in our refrigerator. Got it from Sam's for a really good deal. It's on sale. This is what we're going to use today. I usually use a serving spoon, and we're going to dollop it. I mean, we're going to not be stingy with the butter. And for ones this size, I usually do about 4 scoops, so 1 every corner. And then when it's cooking, it'll definitely distribute out. Okay, so like I said before, we use this Caviar's. We use it on everything. And if you're wondering what it is, it's just an all-purpose Greek seasoning. In it, it's got salt, black pepper, cornstarch, garlic, oregano, sugar, onion powder, and spice extracts, parsley, and 5 other seasonings. That's probably like their secret ingredient. Like I said, we use this on everything. And you don't want to go super heavy with this, but you don't want to go over a lot because it does give it such a good flavor. Because it is a mixture of other seasonings. It's the only one I use, just because it does have all of those seasonings mixed together. And then I have to rummage through my cabinet trying to figure out exactly. So like I said, we're not going to use a whole super lot, but not super light either. And there you have it. So your next step is going to be to use tin foil. Okay, so you do want to cover in tin foil just because that does keep the heat in, but it also keeps the natural steam coming in off the potatoes and the butter when it melts. And it keeps it all wrapped tight, which helps those potatoes get extra soft. Now, usually towards the end, about 30 minutes before it's done, I do take it out and take the tin foil off and pop it back in. That way, some of the, especially the top potatoes, it can give the edges a nice good crisp to it, but they're still super soft on the. So we are going to go ahead and preheat the oven, and we are going to bake this at 325. And I usually like to do it for at least 2 hours, and that's with just with the tin foil on alone. So we have it and pop it in the oven. Then, like I said before, at the last half hour or so, go ahead and pop that tin foil off.